Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Fringe North podcast. My name is Caitlin Townsend, and I am the project coordinator for this year's festival. My pronouns are she and her. Thank you for taking the time to watch our podcast today. I have with me Krystle. Krystle, would you like to introduce yourself and share a bit about your festival submission for this year?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Krystle Meixner. My pronouns are she, her. And this year I'm submitting a compilation of original songs, like a comedy styled cabaret sort of mishmash of fun.
That sounds awesome. So, do you want to share a little bit about how this project came about and what the inspiration for this project was?
Right. So it's called Here's the Thing. And I found I feel like as artists, so often we talk about like doing the thing, and also I really think that it's like a silly into a joke. Like, here's the thing about this. So in that sort of way, I wanted to combine those things and to just give myself like a nice umbrella to put the things that I've been sort of thinking about and sort of wrestling with and like things that I'm frustrated with under. Um, a way to express all of those feelings through song and through jokes because I that's how I like to deal with things.
Mhm. That sounds great. So when you say that so is it like is your piece kind of like a processing of different things going on in your life? Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah. I'm trying to keep it as much as like a cabaret experience, like try to keep it as live as possible, even though it's digital. So I still want it to feel like it's happening, like a conversation
Mhm.
as much as possible. But just things that have been going on through the past couple of years in my life, in the world. um, Songs about that.
That's awesome. Um, so I've had a lot of questions from as we're advertising the festival and that regarding like what is a cabaret for audiences that aren't as familiar with theater. So how would you describe the difference between like a cabaret and say a musical and what makes a cabaret a cabaret?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think that it's more of a conversation. At least that's how I see it. Like I saw Cabaret in theater, and even then there was some of that play with the audience. So if this were to be live, I would have more of a conversation with an audience. So as much as it is scripted, it also leaves space for air, for a reaction, for ad-libbing and for things like that. um that's what I would say. I mean, I would not recommend calling out in other people's shows. They might not appreciate that. Like I've had that happen before too, where you're doing a show and it sounds so conversational that people are answering your questions, and you're like, I'm on time still. Like, oh no, I would love to chat with you, but like, I have to finish this.
Mhm. That makes sense. Um, so with it being like a processing and having like that conversational feel to it, um, what made you choose the cabaret route for this particular piece, and did that help some of the, I guess, the elements of processing that you wanted to show? Does that appear in the show in any way?
Well, the reason why I chose this is because I come from a musical theater background, and I also enjoy stand-up comedy and like sketch comedy. So for me, it's like the perfect melding of those two things.
Mm.
That like I as much as I love a theater piece, like I don't think I'm a theater writer. So I was trying to bring in as much like of my stand up as possible. So to mix those two worlds, like that is the cross section that I just like am so happy to have found
Mhm.
in my life because it's something that I can do myself. And I don't need to like have a whole crew or anything like that, which is great. And I don't have to audition for it because it's mine. So that for me is like my perfect little Venn diagram, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. So with your journey as an artist, when did you first start to get into these different genres and like the comedy versus like doing more of the theater side of things too? And how did all that come about? And what led you to the amalgamation of those things?
Well, I have always loved musical theater. Like since I was a kid, I saw Phantom of the Opera and I was just blown away. And I mean, Phantom of the Opera is like a classic blow away musical. So after years and years, like I joined choirs and like the theater plays in school and whatever. And then I went to university and tried out theater a little bit and I wasn't like living for it. But then, so I did something else, but then I like couldn't let it go. So I said, you know what? I have to like give myself this chance. So I went to school again for musical theater specifically. And I loved the program and I met the best people. But after I had graduated, there were still things that I wanted to try. So I wanted to try stand up. I love making people laugh. Like, there's nothing better than being in a conversation and like, you hear the opportunity to like twist something. So I was always doing that and I was like, I want to try it like on stage. And I loved it. It's so scary. There's like it's absolutely terrifying, but I really enjoyed it. And then after school, like one of the things that we talked about a lot during theater school was talking about like making your own art, like doing it yourself. And I was like, what does that mean? And then a friend of mine was like, you can write a show and do it for Fringe. Like you can do those things. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like someone, it felt like I was given permission to do it. And I was like,
Mm.
wow, I can do this. So I submitted to Halifax Fringe, which was my first Fringe festival, and I put together a show and I was like, I can't believe that this is an opportunity that I got to do. So like since then I was like, I need to get better at this. Like it was such a spark of like, wow, this is a thing that I could do.
Mm.
And it's funny, like we talk about it so much, like create your own stuff, and we're like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, this is what that means. You can do it however you want to do it. And for me, it is this like cabaret like musical comedy. For other people, it's other things, and that's wonderful. So
That's
that's how
great.
it came around for me.
Yeah. So one thing that stood out to me in that is like being like a young artist who was new to the space and kind of like needing that permission. So I'm curious as to what your advice would be to the younger generation that's coming up now and may not know that like this is possible and how what words of encouragement you might have for them.
Wow, I would say play. Always play. And I mean like take your play seriously, you know? Like I don't mean like take your theater play serious. I mean that too, but like enjoy what you're doing. Like if it is a scene that's like or if you're like writing something like go to those places. You can always reel yourself in, but like enjoy it. Like if you're writing something with a like a backstabbing plot line, like enjoy it. Like have such a good time and like the things that spark that joy for you, like keep doing that and like get other people to like look at your stuff to proofread it or to like get feedback but also like listen to yourself like
Mhm.
just enjoy it like do the thing that brings you joy.
Yeah, that's so great and so true. It's like trusting your gut feeling with where you want to go with things too is really important. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like yeah, and it is possible. Like it's definitely
Yes,
possible.
yes, well and that's the thing too is that like something that I've learned is like drafts are your friends.
Mm.
So write that first draft like and I think that's the hardest part, you know, like a blank page is scary or like the cursor blinking at you and you're like why do you taunt me so,
Yeah.
but like a draft it just needs a first draft first. As soon as you can do your first draft you can edit it from there. You can
Mm.
have you know and it can go anywhere from there but you need to write it down first. Like you need to get the just get the ball rolling and it will like keep rolling, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that putting aside of perfectionism, that your first draft is not going to be your final product.
No, no, and it doesn't have to be, it doesn't need to be. You can always edit. Editing is good. We love editing. We love drafts.
That's awesome. So jumping back, you had shared that Halifax was your first Fringe experience, and I'm wondering, like, how was that experience for you, and how did it spark this journey that got you to where you are now and to be part of the Fringe North Festival?
It was so awesome. I really, really enjoyed Halifax Fringe. Like it was my first solo show and my first like solo trip anywhere. And like the community there was really cool to see and like how they accommodated people for their shows or if they were doing previews or things like that. Like they really made a space for that, which was really, really beautiful. And sorry, what was the second part of the question?
How did that spark your whole journey that got you to like today with your submission for Fringe North? And obviously it was kind of like your first Fringe experience, but how many years ago was it as well? I guess would be another question in terms of.
It wasn't that long ago. It was 2018. And then not being able to do any fringes last year was like so disappointing because
Mm,
I it's such a fun experience to like go out and obviously perform, but and to see other people perform in such a, like an intimate space, like it's so much fun. And it's just like such a variety of things. Like you can really find anything at a fringe. Like and then when I was looking through other fringes, I saw the Fringe North and I was so excited about doing like another digital fringe and just like the opportunity to be able to participate even from far away. I'm from Winnipeg, so I can't be there right now, but the opportunity to like participate in this fringe so amazing. I was like, this is awesome. I get like my taste of fringe, you know, I still
yeah,
get to do it this year, even from far apart, which obviously we're all disappointed about. But I mean, it's better than no fringe. And honestly, so far, this experience has been wonderful. Like, I've been very, very happy.
that's
It feels
awesome.
fringy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So looking at the difference, having gone to like a fringe in person and then now being in like the digital fringe, how do you adapt your material for that digital space? And what is kind of your approach that keeps the heart of what a fringe show is in a digital world?
Well, for me, I like in addition to trying to keep it as live as possible, like the recording part of it, less edited, I suppose. Like, I try to I've really been able to like see what makes me laugh in that way. Not having an audience to like play off of. So for me, I've really been able to like dig into that. And I think having that specificity of like what makes me giggle is you know, carves out that little space for me. And I think that's very fringe, you
Yeah.
know? Like very personal, very I think it's quite silly because that's my sense of humor. And I think that's where that essence of fringe comes in.
Yeah, and that like self-trust that comes along with that and the level of confidence that you have to kind of in the comedy space, you have to really believe in yourself when it's a digital realm compared to when you have like that feedback from a live audience that you're like, oh, okay, that joke was funny because they are laughing. Like it's a lot more confidence building and trusting your gut again, I think is a main key part.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm curious in terms of having been in the comedy space and kind of like looking at, you had shared earlier that this is kind of like a processing of the things that have gone on the past couple of years in your life. How do you find humor in uh, like, because it's been a lot of difficulty in this past couple of years as well. So how do you go about bringing the humor into that, and what is your process with that?
Hmm. That's a great question. I guess it's like taking things to the extreme, you know, and sort of applying that to lots of situations. I remember one time I was working at a Starbucks, and one of the people that I was working with said that whenever like a customer used to get heated with them, he would imagine them having like a screaming match. And then he would laugh and be like, that's silly. This problem doesn't mean anything. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I've sort of tried to apply that sort of thing to this material. Of course, a lot of these things do still matter at the end of the day. But when you have to deal with it, when it feels like it's too much, like how do you break down these things into small smaller bits that you can deal with, you know?
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of been my process of like, this sucks. How can I laugh at it? Where is there space for some ha-has, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. To actually find the joy in the tough times too, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, what are you hoping that festival goers will get from this particular piece? And what are you hoping that they walk away with and take with them afterwards?
I hope that they can bring a lightness with them, or like out of it,
Hmm.
that there's some levity. I do think that, uh, I mean, Mary Poppins, like, laughter is the best medicine, right? You know, like, so I do hope that they can find a way to laugh at things in their lives as well. Even if it's just for a minute, you know, like, you don't need to laugh at serious things for forever and just not deal with it.
Hmm.
But just for a minute, just like a little bit of relief, you know,
Hmm.
just to give your little heart a rest just for a bit.
That sounds great. Um, so, what is your favorite part, without giving away too much about your show, but what's your favorite part that you're really sticks with you from your show and that you're hoping people find really entertaining or interesting, or like maybe it's a phrase that you hope just stays with them?
Oh wow. Well, I think I've tried my best to put in a lot of variety in here. So I hope that people will find one of those things that they can resonate with. Um, without giving too much away. Oh, a phrase. Um, gosh, you know, I have such a hard time picking favorites. I'm a middle child, so I have a hard time with favorites.
That's fair.
um, I couldn't. If anyone takes away anything that they like think about and laugh about later, I'm just the happiest person. Like I couldn't. I don't know.
That's fair. So, as an artist who's participating in this year's festival, what are you hoping to get from the festival this year? And yeah, what are you hoping to get out of your own experience?
Well, I'm really excited. I feel like for myself personally, in my submission, I feel like I've kind of pushed myself to try these new things, which has already been so rewarding. That in itself has been really awesome. But I'm also really excited to see things that I wouldn't have seen otherwise, you know?
Mhm.
Like see other people's works that I wouldn't have even known about if I hadn't been a part of this online fringe, you know?
Mhm.
Like things that would have been completely inaccessible if I hadn't been there. So I think that's such a cool way to like get this out to people who aren't in the space. I think that's
Mhm.
really awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I think that it really opens the doors for people who otherwise wouldn't be able to come or who have never heard of a Fringe festival before. And sometimes it's a little less intimidating to click on a link and purchase a ticket than it is to actually like go to a festival and has a patron to view shows as well. Like it just opens the door to provide a place for everyone to come check out what a Fringe is and see if it's up your alley, and you can come back next year in person. Hopefully, hopefully we're not still in lockdown by then.
Yeah, yeah.
I did have another question, and I don't remember what it was. Yeah, so we're really thrilled to have you as part of the festival this year. Is there anything that you would like festival goers to know about your submission, and your show, and like what about your show sets it apart that they should attend this particular show?
Right, right. So I'd say if you like music, if you like to laugh, I think that would be a good fit for
Mhm.
somebody. It's very um, breezy, like lighthearted. We're really not trying to stay down in the dumps, you know, like
Mhm.
we're gonna be letting things go. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, trying not to take it too seriously.
Mhm.
We're just gonna have a good time. We're not gonna cry at during this one. And I mean, we love a moment where we cry, but like it won't be this one.
Mhm.
So just if you need like, you know, to like I said, take a little rest
Mhm.
and sit back, relax, have a laugh, you're good to go.
That sounds awesome. I really look forward to watching your piece. For those who are watching, the festival runs from August 19th to the 22nd. Come out, purchase a ticket, support Krystle. There's also going to be a sneak preview on the 18th, which is the Wednesday night prior. So look out for that as well. Krystle, is there anything like final thoughts that you would want audience is to know about your piece?
Final thoughts. I really hope you enjoy it. If you laugh, please let me know. DM me and say I laughed. It has been hard to do it without an audience. You know, I feel like as comedians, we love the laughter. And oh, I miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, just send Krystle a bunch of like those crying, laughing emojis as you're watching.
That would be amazing.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Krystle, and thank you to our viewers for tuning in today and for watching our podcast. Thank you for your time. Merci, miigwech, and gracias for tuning in today. And we'll see you all in August from the 19th to the 22nd of August. See you all there. Have a great day. Right. Thank you for watching our podcast. Merci, miigwech, gracias. If you like what we're doing, you can support Fringe North and the artists involved in this year's festival financially so that we can continue this work. Visit www.fringenorth.ca to find out more.